Hello. Today I want to talk about being an introvert versus being autistic. So, as a late diagnosed autistic person, I always thought I was just shy and introverted. How do you tell the difference? On the outside, they both look really similar, especially if you're in a social situation. So, how can you tell what the difference is? What is the actual definition of introvertedness? If autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental difference, then what is introvertedness? Okay, number one, the core nature of the trait or condition. So if introversion is a personality trait, which is part of the normal spectrum of human temperament, it is not a medical diagnosis. It's just how some people are. Whereas autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental difference affecting communication, sensory processing, social understanding. This is a clinically diagnosable condition. Why do they look so similar? If you look at it from a social interaction perspective, introverts prefer small groups or alone time. They want to recharge on their own. They understand the social rules and the cues, but they just enjoy being away from all that. They often enjoy socializing with the right people or in the right setting. So if you're an introvert, you could fake being an extrovert or just adjust yourself slightly to temporarily fit into a social situation without causing yourself distress. Whereas autistic people might find the social rules confusing or unnatural. They might struggle to interpret facial expressions, tone, or body language. They might want to socialize, but find it difficult or overwhelming to navigate. They may mask their social difficulties, but it usually causes exhaustion or a meltdown. What's happening internally? So what's happening internally in these two things is very different. An introvert doesn't normally have a problem with sensory processing. They might dislike noisy crowds and find them draining, but the discomfort tends to be more about overstimulation in social contexts. Whereas in autism, frequently the experience of sensory sensitivities to noise like touch, smell, texture, or sensory seeking, it can cause real distress to people. Sensory overload can occur even when they're alone, depending on the environment that they're in. So in an introvert, they're probably going to be able to understand sarcasm, humour, tone shifts and social niceties naturally. They won't have to work things out. They should be able to intuit socialization and conversation. I mean, they might prefer texting or writing, but in an autistic person, we often take things literally. We can miss any subtle or implied meanings, and we can find small talk confusing or just a waste of time. We often prefer direct communication because social nuance can be really confusing or draining. So one of the key parts of autism is the repetitive patterns and the special interests. An introvert doesn't really have a strong tendency for repetitive behaviours or intense fixations, whereas an autistic person often has deep, focused special interests and might engage in repetitive routines or movements. Stimming. An autistic person will have early signs in their development that they are autistic. Even if they don't get diagnosed until later in life, the signs will have been there since childhood. They may have early differences in language development, their play patterns, or their social skills. Whereas an introvert, they usually develop typically, and their social understanding usually comes in a typical range, and they don't usually have language or social communication delays. Introverts can feel tired and drained after social events, but they can recover with rest, and usually they don't need a rigid structure to function, whereas autistic people may experience meltdowns, shutdowns, sensory overload, not just tiredness, but an extreme exhaustion. They may need predictability, routines, and structure to feel safe and regulated. So again, there's a difference there where An autistic person might struggle and take days to recover from socializing, whereas an introvert can just go to bed, have a nice night's sleep, and feel fine in the morning. So the key takeaways from this are: an introvert can choose to be alone for energy or for comfort. An autistic person may struggle to be social and to handle the sensory input, not just having a preference for avoiding it. Many autistic people can also be introverts, but, and here's the thing, not all introverts are autistic. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.